$3,200. That's how much money my landlord thought he was going to steal from me the day I moved out of my apartment. He had a plan, a folder full of fake photos, a list of damages I never caused, and a signature, my signature, that he thought he could use against me. What he didn't know was that I had spent 2 years working a job that taught me one very important skill: how to read contracts, how to catch small lies hidden inside big paperwork, and how to fight back the legal way. By the end of this story, he wasn't the one taking my money. I was the one taking his. Double. If you've ever rented an apartment, if you've ever worried about your security deposit, or if you just love a good real-life justice story where the bad guy actually loses, stay until the end, because this one is satisfying. My name is Sarah. This is what happened to me, and more importantly, this is exactly what you need to know so it never happens to you. Who I was before all this. Let me take you back about 2 years, before any of this drama started. I was 26 years old, living in a mid-sized city in the United States. I won't say exactly which one, but if you've ever rented an apartment in America, you'll recognize every single detail of this story, because landlord scams like this happen everywhere, in every state, every single day. At the time, I had just gotten a new job at a marketing company downtown. It was my first real adult job with a real salary, and I was finally ready to move out of the tiny shared apartment I had with 2 roommates and get a place of my own. I was excited. I was also honestly a little naive. I had never signed a lease by myself before. I had never dealt with a landlord one-on-one. Every apartment I'd lived in before, my roommates handled the paperwork, or my parents helped me when I was in college. This time, it was just me. I found a listing online for a 1-bedroom apartment. Nice kitchen, decent location, a little older building but clean. The rent was fair for the area, maybe even a little below market price, which honestly should have been my first warning sign, but I didn't think much of it back then. I scheduled a viewing, met the landlord, I'll call him Mr. Coleman, that's not his real name, and everything seemed normal. He was polite, professional. He shook my hand, gave me a tour, answered my questions. I signed a 1-year lease. I paid first month's rent, and a security deposit of $1,600, which in most states is a completely normal amount, usually equal to 1 or 2 months' rent. I moved in. I decorated the place. I hung up photos, bought a couch, made it feel like home. For the first several months, everything was fine. I paid rent on time, every single time. I never missed a payment. I took care of the apartment like it was my own. I had no idea that this landlord had a pattern I would only discover much, much later. And a pattern that a lot of renters across the country don't find out about until it's too late. The first red flags. Looking back now, there were small signs early on. At the time, I brushed them off. I want to share them with you because if you're currently renting, or about to rent, these are the exact kind of details you should never ignore. Red flag number 1. The landlord was very slow to fix anything. About 2 months after I moved in, my kitchen sink started leaking. I reported it right away, through text message, with photos. It took him almost 3 weeks to send someone to fix it. When I asked why it took so long, he just said he was busy with other properties. Red flag number 2. He asked me to pay him in cash sometimes, and would forget to give receipts. A few times, when I paid rent, he'd casually mention that cash was easier for him, and he would just tell me, "Don't worry, I'll write it down." I did it a couple of times because I trusted him. Big mistake. Later, I made sure every single payment after that had proof, and I'll explain exactly how I did that in a few minutes. Red flag number 3. He mentioned, almost jokingly, that most tenants never read their lease carefully. At the time it felt like a throwaway comment. Looking back, it was practically a confession. He was telling me, without meaning to, that his entire business model depended on people not knowing their rights. I didn't know it yet, but this man had done this before. Not to me, but to other tenants, in other units, in other years. And he was about to try it on me too. The problem begins. Fast forward to about 10 months into my lease. I got a new job offer in another city, a big opportunity, more money, a chance to grow my career. I decided to take it, which meant I needed to move out a couple of months before my lease technically ended. I did everything the right way. I read my lease again, carefully this time, and found the clause about early termination. I gave my landlord written notice, 60 days in advance, exactly like the lease required. I even offered to help find a new tenant to take over the unit, which many leases allow for. He seemed fine with it. Said he understood, said it wouldn't be a problem. I cleaned the apartment from top to bottom before I left. I mean deep cleaned, scrubbed the floors, cleaned the oven, patched the one small nail hole in the wall from a picture frame, cleaned the bathroom until it sparkled. I took my time because I wanted my full deposit back. $1,600 is not a small amount of money, especially when you're about to move to a new city and need cash for a new deposit there too. On my final day, I did a walkthrough with the landlord. He walked through the apartment with me, nodded, said things looked pretty good, and told me I'd get my deposit back within 30 days, which is the standard legal time frame in most states. I left feeling relieved. I thought that chapter of my life was closed. 30 days passed. No deposit. I texted him. No response. I called. No answer. Finally, on day 35, I got an email from him. And that email is where this entire story really begins. The scam revealed. The email had a subject line that made my stomach drop. Deposit deduction summary. Inside was a list of damages he claimed I had caused to the apartment. I'm going to read you exactly what was on that list, because I think it's important for you to see how ridiculous and how calculated this kind of scam can be. He claimed $400 for deep cleaning the apartment, even though I had cleaned it myself and taken photos. $350 for wall damage repair, even though the only damage was one small nail hole that I had already patched and painted over myself. $200 for a broken blind in the bedroom, a blind that had actually been broken since before I even moved in. $500 for carpet replacement, even though the apartment had hardwood floors in every room except a small closet. Yes, he tried to charge me $500 for carpet damage in an apartment that barely had any carpet at all. In total, he claimed $1,450 in damages, leaving me with only $150 of my original $1,600 deposit. I sat there staring at my laptop screen in complete shock. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a landlord being a little unfair. This was a deliberate, calculated scam, built on lies, and clearly not the first time he had done something like this. The template of the email even had leftover formatting from what looked like it had been copy-pasted many times before. I felt something switch inside me. I wasn't just sad or frustrated anymore. I got focused. What landlord scams like this actually look like. Before I tell you what I did next, I want to pause the story for a moment and explain something important, because this is the part that can genuinely help you, whether you're renting right now or planning to in the future. Security deposit scams are one of the most common ways landlords try to take advantage of tenants in the United States. According to consumer protection organizations and tenant rights groups across the country, this exact pattern happens thousands of times every year. Here's how it usually works, step by step. Step 1. The landlord waits until the tenant has already moved out and has less leverage, since they're no longer living there, and often already focused on their next home. Step 2. They create a list of damages that are either exaggerated, pre-existing, or completely made up. Sometimes they even use photos from a different apartment, or old photos from before the tenant moved in, to make it look convincing. Step 3. They rely on the assumption that most tenants don't know the exact legal rules in their state about security deposits. How many days a landlord has to return it, what proof they're required to provide, and what happens if they don't follow the rules. Step 4. They hope the tenant will just accept the loss, because most people don't want the hassle of arguing over what feels like just a few $100s, especially when they've already moved on with their lives. But here's the thing almost nobody tells you. In most U.S. states, landlords are required by law to provide an itemized list of damages with proof, within a specific number of days, often between 14 and 30 days, depending on the state. And even more importantly, and this is the part that changed everything for me, many states have what's called a bad faith penalty. If a landlord is found to have withheld a security deposit in bad faith, meaning they lied, exaggerated, or acted dishonestly, courts in many states can order them to pay the tenant double, and in some states even triple, the amount that was wrongfully withheld. I didn't know this law existed until I started researching. And that research is exactly what saved me and made him pay. Building my case. I want to walk you through exactly what I did, step by step, because if you're ever in a similar situation, this is your blueprint. Step 1. I stayed calm and didn't respond emotionally. My first instinct was to write an angry text message. I'm so glad I didn't. Instead, I closed my laptop, took a walk, and came back an hour later with a clear head. Emotional messages can actually hurt your case later if a landlord tries to twist your words. Step 2. I gathered every single piece of evidence I had. This is the part that saved me. Remember how I said I deep cleaned the apartment on my last day? I had taken over 60 photos and 2 full video walkthroughs of every single room, every wall, every corner, timestamped on my phone, from the day I moved out. I also had the photos and videos from the day I moved in, 10 months earlier, which clearly showed that blind was already broken before I ever touched that apartment. I also had every single text message and email exchange with the landlord, including the one where he told me, in writing, that everything looked pretty good during our final walkthrough. Step 3. I researched my state's tenant laws. I spent an evening researching my specific state's landlord-tenant laws through my state government's official consumer protection website, along with a local tenant rights nonprofit organization. I learned the exact legal deadline for deposit returns in my state, the requirement for itemized proof of damages, and yes, the bad faith penalty law that allowed for double the amount to be awarded if a landlord was proven to have acted dishonestly. Step 4. I wrote a formal demand letter. Not an angry text. A real, formal letter. I stated the facts clearly. The date I moved out, the condition of the apartment as documented by photo and video evidence, the specific state law that had been violated, and a clear deadline, 14 days, for him to return my full deposit, or I would pursue legal action, including the state's bad faith deposit penalty. I sent this letter by email and also by certified mail, so there would be an official record that he received it. Then I waited. His response. 5 days later, I got a reply, and it was exactly the kind of response you'd expect from someone who was caught. He tried to backpedal, claimed there must have been a misunderstanding, said he'd be happy to discuss a compromise, and offered to return $800 instead of the full $1,600. I want you to notice something here. He didn't apologize. He didn't explain the carpet damage in an apartment with no carpet. He just tried to quietly settle for less, hoping I would take the smaller amount just to avoid more hassle. This is such a common tactic. Landlords who scam tenants often bank on the idea that people will accept a partial refund just to make the problem go away. I said no. I replied with one simple, calm message. I told him I had all the evidence needed to prove the damages were false or pre-existing, that I was aware of the state's bad faith penalty law, and that I would be filing in small claims court if my full deposit, plus the legal penalty, was not paid within the time frame I had already given him. He stopped responding after that. So, on day 15, I did exactly what I said I would do. I filed a claim in small claims court. Small claims court. For anyone who's never dealt with small claims court before, here's something really important to know. In the United States, small claims court is designed specifically for regular people to resolve disputes like this without needing an expensive lawyer. The filing fee where I lived was less than $100, and the whole process was built to be simple enough for anyone to handle themselves. I filled out the claim form, listing the amount I believed I was owed, including the bad faith double damages penalty, and paid the small filing fee. A court date was set about 6 weeks later. Those 6 weeks felt long, but I used the time wisely. I organized every piece of evidence into a clean folder, printed photos with timestamps, printed text messages, a printed copy of my lease with the relevant clauses highlighted, and a printed copy of the state law about deposit returns and the bad faith penalty. On the day of the hearing, I walked into that courtroom nervous, but prepared. My landlord showed up too, looking a lot less confident than the man who had once shaken my hand so professionally during my very first apartment tour. When it was my turn, I laid out the facts calmly, one by one. I showed the judge the move-in photos of the already broken blind. I showed the move-out photos of the spotless apartment. I showed the message where he himself said everything looked pretty good. I pointed out, quite simply, that the apartment had no carpet in the rooms he claimed carpet damage in. His response was weak. He mumbled something about general wear and tear, and different memories of the walkthrough. But he had no evidence to back up a single claim on that damage list. No photos of his own. No receipts for repairs he claimed to have made. Nothing. The judge didn't take long to decide. The verdict. The judge ruled in my favor completely. Not only was I awarded my full security deposit of $1,600, but because the judge agreed that the landlord had acted in bad faith, providing a fake, unsupported damage list clearly designed to keep money he wasn't entitled to. I was awarded the additional bad faith penalty on top of it. In total, my landlord was ordered to pay me double the amount he had originally tried to keep. I walked out of that courtroom with a check in hand a few weeks later for well over $3,000. Money that, just months earlier, this man had tried to convince me I simply wasn't going to get back. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't satisfying. It absolutely was. But more than the money, what I felt walking out of that building was something bigger. I felt like I had stood up for myself fully, completely, using nothing but facts, patience, and the law that was already there to protect me the entire time. He wasn't a criminal mastermind. He was just counting on the fact that most people don't fight back. I fought back. And I won. The lesson, what every renter needs to know. Before we wrap up this story, I want to leave you with the exact lessons I learned, because I truly believe this can help someone watching right now avoid what I went through. 1. Always document your apartment, both when you move in and when you move out. Photos and videos, with timestamps of every single room. This one habit alone is the single most powerful protection you have. 2. Keep every written record of communication with your landlord. Texts, emails, anything. If a conversation happens by phone, follow up with a message summarizing what was said. 3. Learn your state's specific tenant laws, especially around security deposits. Every state is different, but most have official government or consumer protection websites that explain these rules in simple language, completely free. 4. Never accept a lowball settlement out of exhaustion. If you know you're right and you have the evidence, a landlord offering a partial refund is often a sign that they know they're wrong too. 5. Small claims court exists for exactly this kind of situation, and in most cases, you do not need a lawyer to use it. It's built for regular people like you and me. And 6, maybe the most important lesson of all. You deserve to be treated fairly, whether you're renting an apartment, buying a product, or dealing with any kind of business relationship. Being polite and reasonable doesn't mean you have to accept being taken advantage of. So that's my story. A landlord who thought he could quietly keep money that wasn't his, built on a fake list of damages and the hope that I wouldn't know better. Instead, I documented everything, learned my rights, stayed calm, and let the law do exactly what it was designed to do. In the end, instead of losing $1,600, he had to pay me double what he originally tried to steal. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's this: knowledge really is power. The moment I understood my rights, the entire situation flipped in my favor. You don't need to be aggressive, and you don't need to be a lawyer. You just need to know the truth, keep your proof, and stand your ground calmly. If you enjoyed this story, or if it taught you something you didn't know before, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. I share more real-life stories like this one every week, all about standing up for yourself, knowing your rights, and turning frustrating situations into wins. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Stay confident, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next story.